What's going on, guys? Joey Franzo here. Some of you guys know me as this guy right here, Joey Flex Trading Systems. How's it going? How are we doing, everyone? If you don't know who I am, I will leave a bunch of links down below that can give you an idea of who I am and what I do. But I coach powerlifters, and I've seen, a good amount of success in the amount of time that I've been doing it. If you guys are interested in those services, link down below. And I'm making this video because I did a Snapchat little rant, and I asked you guys at the end who wants to see a video talking about the weight cut that I did at the USAPL 2016 Bench Press Nationals. I got a good amount of response, and this is me just making that video for all those people. If you're, I know I'm gonna get freaking questions. If you're wondering where I am, this is literally my mom's garage. Bunch of medals over there, and kung fu sticks because my family does all kinds of stuff. As you can tell, my mom really likes Bruce Lee. Yep. A lot of history here in this little gym. This is actually like a lat pull down thing that I'm sitting on. This is literally where I first started lifting. Look, we got dips right there, pull-ups. I used to have a bench that we sold. But yeah, alright, that's enough of that. So into the video. Basically, competed at USAPL Bench Press Nationals. Didn't really tell anyone about it because it looked like I could win. I looked at the competition, and the 105 class was very competitive in that there were a lot of guys that were very similar in terms of what we could put up. I believe that the champ from last year competed, and the way my bench was going, I don't know if you guys saw my last video, but I hit 458. My previous best was 440, and that was like 10 weeks before. So my bench has definitely been on the come up, and part of that is because I've learned how to train my bench in a way that allows me to progress without getting hurt. And I've also been able to gain weight and still make my weight class without losing literally any strength. At least that's what I think. I've progressed pretty drastically over the course of excuse me, coffee. I'm not editing that shit out. Fuck that. We're already 2 minutes and 45 seconds in. Anyway. I recently upped my bench press training to 3 times per week. I started seeing a shit ton of progress when I started doing that. I paused everything. I only do 2 movements for the bench, the flat bench and the close grip bench. And that's pretty much all I do. I do a couple little accessories here and there. If you guys work with me, then you already know what I'm talking about. I do the same stuff that I make you guys do for the most part. I don't really have many weaknesses when it comes to my bench. I'm pretty smooth all the way through. But yeah, so I just trained the main movement, nothing special. I gained a bunch of weight. I came up from the Arnold. I weighed in right at 230. I didn't really have to cut weight too bad. I was eating before weigh-ins. I had 440 at the Arnold. I actually had 440 the meet before that, but it was a USPA meet, and I didn't feel comfortable taking a big jump under the strict meet conditions of, it was an IPF meet, so it's very strict meet conditions. So I was happy to just match what I hit. Bench was moving really well. I was on track for 474, and I hit that like a week, like 10 days out from the competition. I doubled that. I don't really know where I'm gonna be in terms of when I peak until I start to peak, and that's for the bench press. I like to do it right at the last minute because it lets me gain ground longer, and also the bench is the quickest of the 3 squat, bench, deadlift to detrain. You can lose your adaptations and the strength that you've gained faster than any other lift. And I just want real quick, I want to apologize. I'm switching the camera between hands. This is definitely not the most professional video, but it's gonna get better. I figured I'd do the video like this so you guys can kind of get a feel for me and see how I am. Some people want to know how I am instead of just looking at me through the gram. Anyway, so I was looking at the roster for Bench Press Nationals. I was actually in Colorado in May, and I spoke to Bryce Lewis. You guys know Bryce, and I've seen him hit touch and go 500 or 495, and I asked him, I was like, "Yo, man, you doing bench press nationals?" He's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do it," and I'm like, damn, okay, so if he's not gonna do it, I could beat these guys, there's no reason why I shouldn't. My, that 454 double was pretty smooth, and I could probably add another rep. The big variable and the thing that I was really kind of like iffy about is I just did a meet 6 weeks before bench press nationals, and I cut 6.5 kilos. I made weight fine. I had to exhaust, I had to do everything to make that weight cut. I had to water manipulate. I had to track my sodium. I had to manipulate my sodium. I had to alter my food. I had to sweat at the very end. I had to do pretty much everything that you possibly can to make weight, except for one thing, one minor but very, very key thing. I didn't alter that one variable, and it's a variable. I'm not gonna give it away here, but it's a variable that if you work with me, and you need to cut, I'll help you. But it's something that people change pretty often, and I think that's where they mess up. And if you know anything about anything, you can kind of figure out what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I did the cut. I hit a squat PR, hit a bench PR, and I was on track for deadlift PR, but I lost my grip on my leg. I was pulling sumo as like an experiment. That meet was to test out the weight cut, and it worked great. And I was like, okay, I didn't lose any strength. I had a huge squat and bench PR. So I'm like, how can I do this on a 2-hour weigh-in in a bench press competition where the bench is the first lift? Now, normally the bench is the lift that tanks the most on a weight cut. And it was kind of a challenge for me, and I think I wanted to push the envelope. I wanted to see how big I could get and how much weight I could cut and still make weight and perform. Originally, so I thought Bryce wasn't doing the meet, and he ends up, I checked the roster about a week out, and I see that his name's there, so I'm like, okay, so Bryce is there. I'm probably going to fight for second now, or possibly third. There were a couple other guys that were super strong, one of which, I forget his name, but I thought he was gonna give me, more of a run than he did, and he ended up not doing so good. So getting into the competition, I thought that I weigh in at 12. That's normally when the 105s weigh in, 105 kg, 231.5 pounds. But, really close to the meet, I found out that I weigh in at 7 a.m. So I had to kind of accelerate everything that I was doing. For whatever reason, when it was time to sweat, I was not sweating the way that I did for this last meet. I think that's because just the sauna at the 24 I was at kind of sucked. And last time I didn't even use the sauna. I just sat in the car with my sweats on. It wasn't even that bad. I literally stayed in there for like 15 minutes, 2 bouts of 15 minutes, and I was, I lost 6 pounds. And this time, it was tough. It was really tough. I spent like 3 hours trying to get down to weight. And when I think also the food that I ate it had more sodium than what I was reading, than what I was inputting into my fitness pal. It was not, it had to have been off. Something had to have been off. I didn't buy I eat chocolate covered almonds the day before the meet because it has a lot of carbs, has a lot of fat, has no sodium. You can find some that have no sodium at all, and that no sodium is key the day before the meet. You don't want to have, you want to have as little sodium as you can while still hitting your protein and trying to get your carbs in. And dropping that sodium is like huge. It's going to prime your body to sweat, and it's also going to let you pee. It's going to let your water loading work. I actually drink a lot of water the day before the meet. A lot of guys pull the water out. I didn't pull my water out. I kept drinking, a couple hours after I finished eating. I want to say about 10 hours out, I stopped my water, 10, 12 hours, and then, just kept peeing, and about 7 a.m., at 7 a.m., after having already saunaed, I was still 2 pounds over, and I was starting to get frustrated because my body was just not, I just wasn't sweating anymore. And I said to myself, I am not going to miss weight. I'm going to do everything that I can. At the end of the day, I will make sure that I didn't give up, you know, because I was determined to get this done. I ended up leaving the sauna at 7 a.m., which is when weigh-ins start. I was still over. I tried a hot bath. Nothing happened. Literally nothing came out. So I was like, all right, hot bath is not for me. Went back to the sauna. I ended up just saying I'm gonna fucking suck it up and do 2 bouts of 20 minutes. And you know that's gonna push it really close because the latest you can weigh in is 8:30, so an hour and a half. The meet actually starts at 9. Thank God I was in the sea flight. And I ended up leaving the hotel, went back to the gym. It was only it was like 5 minutes away, thank God. And then I, you know, just sucked it up, sweat as much as I could. I got to like right at I was 231.4 and the cutoff is 231.5. I drive to the meet, I go there, I get, you know, have to get absolutely naked to weigh in. And I ended up being like, I think I was 18 minutes from the cutoff, absolute cutoff for weighing in, and I was like a half pound over. And I was like, all right, well, for like 10 seconds, I felt like crazy anxiety, like, holy shit, how am I going to do this? But I put on my sweats, and my girlfriend brought me some Sour Patch Kids. Shout out to Tina. She fucking was so helpful during this whole process. I brought Sour Patch Kids, and I had a little cup, and I was literally jogging like, you know, 40 yards, 40 yards, 40 yards, 40 yards, like 50 times, as many times as I could, and I just was spitting. And I literally said, I'm just going to keep doing this to the absolute last minute. I waited till about 2 minutes before we went in. I step on the scale, and I'm still over by like 0.1 kilos, and then I step off. I take a deep breath. I step back on, and I weighed in at 105. The scale was like 105, 104, 105, 104 and a half, and then it kind of leveled off like right at 105. And I got in, I signed my papers, I drank, I tried to down a Pedialyte, but my body was like fighting me. It was like very hard to down that Pedialyte. The first time I did it, I just did it in one go. I just chugged it and I was good. Everything, so I'm going to tell you guys everything that I drank to hydrate, and this is, you could use this for yourself if you want. Very, very useful. Like I wrote everything down, and it totally worked. So I ended up lifting at 10:30, which was the exact time that you know, the sea flight from the day before started. So if you're ever at a meet and you lift on the second day and you're not sure when you're going to actually lift your flight, you can kind of count the amount of lifters and get a feel for how fast the meet's going. So I took one full Pedialyte, 2 tomato juices. They're 12 ounces each. It's called Clamato. You can also use V8. Clamato's a little bit better because it has 15 milligrams of sodium. By the way, this is like not healthy at all. I don't recommend that anyone do this, but this is just something that I feel you can do if you want to try to pull this off. You know, anytime you go in the sauna, it's very risky. There are people that have died in the sauna. So I'm not saying you need to do this. I'm just saying this is what I did to make weight. So yeah, so 2 tomato juice, 12 ounces, 1,500 milligrams each of sodium. Then I did 1 Pedialyte, that's another 1,000, so I'm already at 4,000. I did half a Gatorade, that's about 220, so 110. Then I did a serving, literally a serving and a half of Doritos, 2 Twinkies, and one of those Twinkies I had right when I woke up. It's just something that I do. It doesn't really weigh anything. It has a ton of sodium and a ton of carbs. So 2 Twinkies, and then, all right, this is the hard part. I had an entire gallon of water, a whole gallon of water, and a half of an Odwalla. It's like a protein drink. It's got it's like a full meal. It's like 410 calories. I had half of that. I couldn't finish. I ended up finishing the whole thing like in the middle of warm-ups. But man, drinking that whole water was so fucking hard. Like I don't, like, I'm a bigger dude, and I've done this before, and I don't think, it's fucking hard. It's so hard. Like, I walk around at 244, 247 pounds. I was 245 pounds for the most of this prep. And, so if I did a gallon, you can kind of like do the math and figure out how much you need to weigh based on your size. But an indicator for me to know that I've drank enough water before lifting is to pee. And my girlfriend was in the room and she's like, yo, you got to go down, you got to warm up. And I was like, I'm not ready yet. I need to keep drinking. And she's like, you have to go now. And then I ended up going there, and they were done with they were starting the second attempts of the B flight, and I'm in the C flight. So, I'm like, okay, I need to start warming up. And I did, I finished my drink, got my stuff on, and I was like very burpy. I wanted to kind of like throw up everything. I felt like dog shit. I'm not even gonna lie, I felt like absolute dog shit. What made me kind of mentally feel better was, warm-ups kind of felt shitty, but then I had to pee, and I was like, oh damn, like I have to pee, that's good, that means I'm hydrated for the most part. I was peeing clear. And then I started warming up. I did red plate, red and yellow, 2 reds, 2 reds and yellow, 3 reds, so 5. I did 5 3 1 1 1, 5 3 2 1 1, and then those are my warm-ups. I don't want to math right now to figure out how much that is, but yeah, they had all the Lico bars. The meat was crazy. Like it was the most expensive meat equipment I've ever seen, and I'm very thankful for that. Shout out to the meat director for USAPL Bench Nationals. I don't know his name, but that was like an awesome thing to get to warm up with. Everything was Alico equipment and ER racks and everything like that. So when I hit my opener, my original opener was going to be 430, so 429. I dropped it down to 418 because obviously, like anyone that doesn't, if you cut weight and you're not dropping your opener like that much, I cut around 5-6% body weight, then there could potentially be disaster. You could bomb out. You just want to be safe. So I actually destroyed 418. I didn't even feel it. So this is when I knew, all right, so let's try to gain as much ground as we can. I jumped all the way to 446, and I misgrooved it really hard off my chest. But it still moved pretty good. And then I said, okay, I could just say balls to the wall. And so Bryce and the other guy, they were at 468. Those were their second attempt benches. And I said, I can go balls to the wall and I can jump to 474 and force them to hit a PR and hit a huge bench PR for myself and end up where I ended up. But I was thinking to myself, like, yo, everything went wrong at the end with weigh-ins. The timing was off. I didn't get enough time to kind of reconstitute and kind of relax, take a nap. I usually, chill out after I make weight. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just going to take a small PR. I'll see what's left in the tank. And based on my 446, I said, okay, I have about 7.5 kilos, possibly 10. And my life depended on it, 12.5. Let's be safe. I didn't come here to match what I matched before. Let's jump 7.5 kilos. I ended up smashing, 463. It felt really good. I definitely had more. Kind of wish I would have went up, but I dropped my opener, so I was too far away. There's no way I could gain the ground that I needed. The absolute most I would have felt comfortable going is 468, and I would have just tied them. So hit my third attempt. The other two guys both hit 468. Bryce jumped to 490. The other guy waited for Bryce to go. Bryce ended up missing. The guy didn't take his third because they tied on body weight, so he wins. So had I gone up 2.5 kilos, I would have tied Bryce to the other guy. We all three would have had the same bench, and I still would have gotten third because I was the heaviest. I was the absolute cap. LS McLean was like, yo, I am the deadline. Like, I am the borderline. Like you got to go through me if you want to go into the 120s, you got to be heavier than me. So it was just a dumb joke. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And it just, like, the fact that I came that close, and it was crazy because I was thinking to myself going into the meet, yo, if I'm going to win this meet, Bryce needs to miss his. Bryce needs to absolutely miss his, and I need to nail my 215, which is 474, and Bryce needs to miss his. Had I had more time, I'm almost positive I would have felt better, and I could have forced him to go over. I actually talked to Bryce about it, and he made a mistake. He thought his PR was 485. It was actually only 474, and he just wanted a small PR. So, had he not made that mistake, he would have gone 480. I don't think I would have been able to hit more than that. But it's funny because everything panned out as, like, if I needed to win, it just panned out that way. Like, I just fucked up. I fucked up. I fucked up because I was so focused on Raw Nationals, thinking that I weigh in later in the day. I wasn't paying attention to when I actually, you know, win at Bench Nationals. And, yeah, that's my bad. Completely my bad. But it still worked. Like, the fact that I was able to cut, the fact that I was able to run a 5.5 week training cycle, increase my bench press, cut, you know, 7 kilos, and still hit a PR with everything that happened at the end with weigh-ins. Like, dude, that's like, I should be freaking thrilled with that. You know what I mean? And when I think, like, at first I was kind of bummed because, like, fuck, I could have won. I was like, I literally lost to the world record holder, you know, 105, the best 105 kilogram lifter in the world, arguably, and the 105, like, bench legend. The other guy, Tim, is his first name. That guy's won, like, 10 years in a row. He's competed geared, raw, everything you can think of. So the fact that I'm up there with those guys, like, that really meant a lot to me, considering everything kind of fell to shit at the end. Just makes me more confident in what I'm doing with my weight cuts, my training, my coaching, everything like that. But yeah, I hope you guys took something away from that. Again, I'm sorry for the random setting, but I wanted to get this video out because if I didn't get this video out tonight, absolutely tonight, it wasn't going to happen. I have a busy week coming up, and this is just what I had to do. So I hope you guys appreciate stuff like this. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like, leave a comment below, send me a snap. I'm going to leave all my links to everything down below, and I'm actually going to let my 3 attempts from the meet roll right after I'm done here. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are interested in any coaching inquiries, if you guys have any questions at all, you know, you can email me at jflexfit, flexfit@gmail.com. Again, that's going to be all down below, my Instagram handle, everything like that. Alrighty, guys, and if you guys are looking to get a shirt, I don't know when this video is going to be up, but email me. I'm doing one last batch tomorrow morning, and that's it. And we also got sweaters, we got women's stuff, and yep. Alrighty, guys, thank you, and I will talk to you next time. 1, 2, up.
Easy opener for Joe Franzo.
1, 2, up.
This is good.
Up. Go, 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 go.
Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen from Los Angeles, California.
Yes!
Let's go!
Let's go, baby.
Look at this.
Come on, Sue!